2nd, 2024. It's being held here in the library room at the Eagle House. It's now 6:30. I'll read all the readings. The meeting will be held in person here in the Eagle House. Members of the public are welcome to attend this in-person meeting. Thank you for doing so. Please note that while an option for remote attendance and/or participation is being provided as a courtesy to the public, the meeting will not be suspended or terminated if technological problems interrupt the virtual broadcast, unless otherwise required by law. Members of the public with particular interest in any specific item on this agenda should make plans for in-person versus virtual attendance accordingly. For remote participation from a computer, please use the link. I'll read the link, https://us02, meaning 02, web.zoom.us/j/7927370353 (OMN) equals 890044878898, or join the Zoom meeting, and the meeting ID is 792-737-0353. From a telephone, you can dial the toll-free number 888-475-4499 and enter the same webinar ID 792-737-0353 #. If you have not registered for Zoom, you will be asked for your name and an email address. Note, no participant ID is needed. Just press the pound key when asked. Telephone users may dial *9 to request to speak after joining the meeting. Computer and app users may use the raise hand feature to request to speak. In accordance with the requirements of the open meeting law, please be advised this meeting will be recorded and can be found on the Lunenburg Access YouTube channel, http://www.youtube.com/user.lunenburgaccess1word/videos within 24 hours of the meeting. The agenda lists all topics which may be discussed at the meeting and are those reasonably anticipated by the chair. Votes may be taken as a result of these discussions. Not all items may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by the open meeting law. I will now call us to order. First we will have opening comments, and are there any opening comments from the board? Mr. Redd.
I don't have any.
Okay. Sure. Just real quick, are we going to attempt to just approve any minutes or anything like that?
Not today. That's not on the agenda.
That's what I thought. Okay, so here's a list of the things that didn't get checked, so go for it. I'm sorry about that.
Thank you.
Okay, and are we going to discuss future events such as Mike coming on? Because I've been going through.
We will talk about the scheduling of those events.
Okay, tonight. Okay, because we do need them.
We also have to talk about next meetings.
Yeah,
Which,
we can do that then. Okay, I'm all set then. Thank you.
thank you. Anything else? Any comment from the public? Do we see anything? No. Would you like to come up and make a comment?
Up here?
Please. Otherwise, the microphone will potentially pick you up, unless you want to just yell from there.
Not a yeller.
Full yell? Oh, young
I
yell.
am old. But my thing is yellow.
Watch your foot, Carl.
Okay.
Watch your foot, the cord is wrapped around your
Wrap
foot.
around your foot.
Thank you. Carry that back with me. Carl Luck, 50 Sunset Lane. I'd like to comment tonight on the board's and the residents' next challenge, the 2024 tax assessment process. As you're aware, there are many open questions that need to be answered about the ongoing work by Vision to complete the 5-year certification and assessment that will result in our final 2024 billing. This work is important to all residents, as everyone's 2024 tax bills will be affected in some way as a result of the 2023 tax debacle, not just lakefront owners. I fear that nearly all residents' taxes are going to go up by a significant amount over last year's taxes. Trying to learn from the past, my comment and request is that the board make the 2024 process and data as transparent and available as soon as possible. That is well in advance of any public information meetings, so we have time to review, understand, and prepare our areas of questions or concerns. If we have learned nothing else from the past experience, I hope we have at least learned that it is better to address any potential issues before locking in the numbers than dealing with hundreds of abatements and unhappy residents after the fact. If my fears regarding significant tax increases across town come true, and we do nothing different, you could be looking at even more abatements than even last year's. I therefore respectfully request, please follow through with your commitment to have open, interactive meetings in time to correct any issues, and most important, to make sure that the public gets the detailed information, meaning calculations and spreadsheets, well in advance of these sessions. Based on the current timeline, it seems this dissemination of data should start in early February. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Later tonight we'll hear the dates. But above all, please enable a process where we can get it right, first time, and not spend tremendous effort digging out of a hole like we are still doing for the 2023 year tax assessment process. Thank you.
Thank you for your input. Rest assured, we are committed to, it's okay. We are committed to transparency. We are committed to communication. Yes, we'll hear something a little bit later today about the next step. We will be able to talk about a little bit beyond that. So, any other comment? No? Okay. I'm going to jump right to the appointment. Today we have an appointment for the introduction and ratification of a candidate for the principal assessor position that has been open here in town for quite some time. And we're excited to get some introduction from Heather, the town manager of this candidate, and we're looking forward to hearing from her.
Thank you. Happy to introduce Linda McQuaid.
Yeah, Linda can come up here. You can go.
I'm gonna have you sit right here, I'm gonna put the rose between two thorns.
Okay.
Yeah, hold on.
Can you?
Oh, thank you.
Okay. Hello, everybody. So, I'm happy to introduce Linda McQuaid as my appointment to principal assessor position that I'm asking the board to ratify tonight. And the board has Linda's credentials and her skills and her qualifications already presented to you. And if you have any questions related to that, but Linda has experience as principal assessor, currently in Air, prior to that in Foxborough, and prior to that she was assistant assessor in Westford. She also has 20+ years experience as an appraiser. I welcome the opportunity for questions, and Linda may be able to answer additional questions.
Thank you. Did you feel like you wanted to make a statement now? Or?
Yeah, I like Heather said, I have over 20 years experience as a real estate appraiser, which I think will be valuable in Lunenburg. I'm looking forward to the opportunity, and it's exciting because I know vision appraisal is actually, I'm interested in learning about the vision appraisal. That's actually what I was considering upgrading the system in Air, so I've done some research about it. So I'm looking forward to the opportunity and looking forward to helping the public. And I think my experience will be an asset to the town.
Either the other members have any questions at the moment?
Sure. Have you introduced her as a principal assessor there? Is that what you are? There's only two people in the whole
Yeah.
lot. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a small office.
Why do you want it so skinny with the town that's decent sized? Are you outsourcing a lot of things, or?
Some of it, we outsource our personal property, RRC, which I
Yeah.
believe you have as well. The commercial and industrial, I have used a consultant that does help with the interim. But the rest of the work, the field work, the day-to-day office is myself and an assistant. So it's busy. I go out and I do all the inspections.
Post-sale and,
Yep.
okay.
I send out, I have postcards that I send out, so
Yeah.
I follow up on all the sales. And then when I go to the property, I make a note that I'm going to be visiting within 1 to 3 weeks so that they're aware. I have identification, and then I have a jacket that has my name and the town. And then I knock on the door, announce myself. If no one's there, I'll leave a card. And then for permits, I do all the permits as well. So it's quite a bit of work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you go through the property, do you use any kind of a guide, like when you produced in terms of guidelines with regard to accessing pieces of property? What is old? What is modern? What is how beat up is the property? You use a guide?
Use the record card.
The record
That's
card?
my guide. So I'm verifying all the data
On the record
on the record
itself?
card, making sure that the measurements are correct. When you have the property card, you look at the sketch,
Yeah.
and sometimes there may be a deck missing. There might have been a second floor addition. And then if the quality, if it says, good on the property card, whatever the rating is for quality and condition, I look at that. I check the basement area to see if that's finished, because sometimes people finish basements and
Forget.
may not even have a permit as well.
Yeah.
Verify the number of bedrooms, bathrooms, and then any outbuildings, whether it's like a shed or
How do you differentiate between the overall quality with regard to a bathroom? Is it modern? Is it up to date? Is it substandard? How do you do that? Is there a scale that you use, or is it a descriptive piece
Well,
that?
you can usually tell when you're there, if you're looking at the bathroom, you can tell if somebody's upgraded it.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, if they've got an updated vanity, you can tell the flooring is new, toilet, walls, shower. The
Okay.
big thing now is everybody has like a tile shower.
Do you have guidance documents that say this is a modern one, this is an old one, or do you just use your own common sense and experience of 20 years?
I use my own experience, yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
And I'm very fair with it. Obviously, when you're looking at the property, I look at the property record card, check that. I also look at the permits,
Okay.
because that's another guide too. You can actually see if it's on the permit when they upgraded the property.
Okay.
There is that.
I'm going to ask you a hard question, if that's okay, Mr. Chairman.
Well, I want to try to keep it as focused as possible, so
Yeah.
go ahead.
Sarah, I don't mean to monopolize you, if you have something.
I will wait until
Okay.
I'm satisfied.
Okay, you have been there a year and a half, thereafter, and the prior position, you were there about 9 months or something like that.
I was, yep.
And I am particularly sensitive to the fact that I don't want to lose anybody again.
Oh, no.
Okay,
No.
so can you tell me what would be your motivation for leaving those positions and coming to us, which you so welcome with open arms?
Yeah.
We wouldn't ever let me go no matter what.
Oh, no. Well, actually,
Girl.
I was in Boxborough, so I was in Westford as an assistant assessor.
Mhm.
And one of my friends, who was actually in Boxborough, had been promoted and went to Salisbury. And he contacted me and said, Linda, this is a great opportunity. So I checked out the opportunity. When I went to Boxborough, it was very difficult because there was a high turnover. It was on the news. There was a lot of scandal with the police department. And so I started there and got caught up on everything. And then the opportunity came up in air. I wasn't even really looking for it. And so I had investigated it, and it seemed like a good opportunity. I was a little bit concerned with just the stability of the town. So that's the reason why I left. And in air, I love the town. I've been there over a year and a half. Actually, Nate Kramer was the one who had recommended that I look into the position because of my experience, and he indicated that the town was looking for someone that knows value, and I do. So I met with Heather. It's been a while, since I think October. So yeah, so I had been kind of investigating and made a decision a couple weeks ago, and I think it's going to be a good opportunity. And believe me, I don't want to go anywhere. I'm looking to stay. And I think a good motivation for me is that I've got to upgrade my system to vision appraisal. I put in a capital request, so that is something that is already done here.
Or in the process of.
Or in the
Wow.
no, I mean,
You're worth
it's the system,
Yeah.
at least the system. An upgrade is going to be a big thing, and I love the small town. I don't really have an interest to go to a big town, but the opportunity came up, and I thought it was a good fit for me.
And the commute is decent?
Yeah, I live in Dunstable.
Yeah.
It's only like 5 more minutes,
Okay.
so yeah.
Thank you, Art.
Is that it?
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Hi, I was wondering, sorry. I was wondering, we are probably going to have abatements this year, and I was wondering what your ideas are in terms of organizing the information for residents about how everything was done for the process this year, presenting them to them effectively so they can understand what was chosen and why for different processes. And then also how you, if we have to go through an abatement process, I'm sure there's always going to be abatements, but how you intend to organize that so it's effective and efficient and fair.
Well, what I will do, and I'm familiar with abatements, I actually try to avoid it before they submit it, so people have a deadline. I know your deadline's going to be extended, but ours is February 1st. So when people have called, I actually go through and look at the property record card, go through any concerns they have, try to resolve any questions before they decide to file the abatement. And if they're still concerned about that, I encourage them to file the abatement. And then at that time, I explain that I will contact them, do an inspection of the property record card. I actually give them a copy of the record card and ask them to look through it. And then just encourage them to meet the deadline, and then tell them that it will be an interior, exterior inspection, and at a time I will come out and go through, do a thorough inspection, and then it will be reviewed. The decision will be made by the Board of Assessors will review it, and then we have 90 days to get back to them.
So that makes sense to me when you're not dealing with 400 abatements.
Yeah, that's a lot. I have dealt with quite a bit, but I know Nate has worked on them in the past, and I'm sure that I will be assisting in that. So we'll just go through it. I have a log that I keep, so I've done that in the past. I have all my abatements, I date them, stamp them as they come in, and go right down and keep a log on that, and then schedule the inspections.
Yeah,
So I will have to be organized.
Yeah, assuming well, I don't know what our abatements will be this year, but
Same as previous years.
previous years.
14.
Well,
Or 3,000 times that.
one thing I noticed is that it was very hard for our residents to understand when the hearings were going to be, how much they were allowed to interact with the board and the department. And I would hope that anyone who's coming into that situation would understand that residents need to know when their abatements are going to happen. They need to understand when they'll get a response back and how that response was generated. And I think that's really important going forward for the town, especially this year, and probably for many years to come until people have confidence in the whole department. So I really hope we don't have 400-something abatements, but there need, how that gets scheduled and along with the visits that you're talking about is going to be a very big deal, and so I want to make sure that that is on our radar. But I think I probably wasn't clear in my earlier question because I bundled things together, but I was thinking about how we need to present the data to the town as our items come in, and how you would like to address that, or what has worked well for you in the past.
Well, like I said, I keep a log, and even myself now, I've been monitoring my own abatements. I've only got 6, so I had 14 last year. But before that, in the past, I've had quite a few. Not 100, but like 48 is what I've had in the past. So you have to be organized, and obviously the visit is probably the most important thing with the homeowner, because that's the time when you want to educate them. And I'm very good at explaining what the steps are, so that they will have the knowledge when I'm at the house. And even before I get there, I schedule the appointment and notify them that I will be inspecting the interior and exterior, and it is required as part of the abatement process.
Yes, you answered that part of the abatement process.
Yeah.
I was wondering more about our data that leads to the valuation of properties.
Oh, okay, well, that
I
would be...
think that was not clear.
Okay, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
that would be supported by sales. So
Yeah.
what I have done in the past is I've actually gone on MLS and looked for the similar sales as my backup to support the value.
Mhm.
So that's going to be the research before I even, I go out and inspect the property. I probably will have some sales with me, and if the homeowner has any questions, I'll review those sales with them. So that's typically what I do when it goes through the abatement process. Is that what you're asking?
No.
Am I answering that? No?
No, I'm asking prior to abatements
Oh.
whatsoever. We have a reval
So-
going on right now.
She won't be really starting until much of that process is done. So I'll
that's
interrupt right there,
Thank you.
only because she will be there for the results, but she won't necessarily be there for,
I wasn't sure.
as
whether
we're
it's-
trying to share. So
Thank you.
we will need to make sure that we do a good job of communicating
Especially on the website.
the,
Yeah.
well,
Okay.
not just, but yes, especially through the website, how the numbers are arrived at, what they're gonna look like. Maybe get out some preliminary numbers so people have time to look at it and that stuff, but it really won't fall on Linda's shoulders, because at that point, she will not have been here yet.
Understood. I wasn't sure. at the
And
time.
this is the 5-year reval, so it's different than it is for most years when you just see a few, potentially. You might be looking at, 15 abatements requests. We may be looking at a different number this year, different from last year for sure, and maybe different from most years because it is the 5-year. And there are people will be paying much more attention, as will we. So, not to say that in the past there wasn't attention, but there was. But we'll be paying extra close attention this time, and making sure that we do the outreach stuff that we've talked about, that we do the communication up front, so that we aren't really, so we'll cut through all that and just say, that's really not a question for Linda to answer today.
That's fair.
So, is that?
That is, but getting to your point, communication is probably the most important thing. And I would do that in the office and also in the visit when I go out there. And maybe a letter might be another thing for people too, if for communication. And that's something that I do, because just giving people the knowledge and the communication kind of sets them at ease that their concerns are going to be taken care of. And in doing that, I always provide a copy of the property record card and encourage people to look at that for any errors or anything that needs to be addressed. So that's typically what I do, and it's worked well for me in the past. And people seem to feel more at ease. And then if there are any discrepancies, then that's something that obviously I encourage them to file the abatement, because then that way it'll require the inspection and it'll be taken care of.
Thank you.
And corrected, yeah.
Any other questions?
No.
I do have one. You were doing residential appraising for many years I'm not familiar with Capital Appraisal Group. Is that someone we should know, or I would know?
That's just my own.
That's yours.
company,
And so
yeah.
who were you working with someone else?
I was just by myself,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, I was self-employed, and I got into assessing, and I loved it. And I don't have time to really do much of it. If I do it, I'll try on again, but it's not my main focus. And the market has changed quite a bit. So I'm thankful that I'm not doing it full-time anymore.
So I'm going to make the assumption that you were successful because you did it for 17 years and supported yourself, so
I did.
I will.
Yeah,
That's a rather broad assumption on my part, but I think that's probably fair.
yeah, I used to have trainees and another appraiser working. I mean, when I was quite busy, I did work for Fannie Mae. I worked for People's Bank. I worked for some good-sized lenders.
Yep.
Yeah, over the years. And I enjoyed it very much. I love real estate. I love value and the whole process of putting an appraisal together, determining what the value is. And that's why I enjoy assessing so much. And I enjoy, even when you're looking at an issue, somebody comes in and questions it, you go through and do the analysis with the sales. And
Fabulous.
Mr. Chairman,
Another question?
Sure. Please. Linda, when you just were sharing your past with us, you were over at Boxborough, and you decided that you used the comment, the place was a mess. Can you tell me what makes a mess? And because you're going into a situation where we're in a major transition. One person's been holding this all together. Are things of not where you normally think? And so, what was the mess?
It was more of my own concern with, and I don't really want to talk about a town,
Yeah.
Confidential type things, but just concerns, not from a department aspect, more on a broader scale.
Interpersonal kind
Yeah,
of thing?
we had the FBI investigating, so the police issue, and that was more of my concern. We had a few, just because of the turnover there, it was just very uneasy. And I know Lunenburg is stable, I'm not worried about that. Same thing here. And like I said, I've been there so long, and it's just seemed like a good opportunity.
So were the file structures a mess? Or
It was just with the turnover, things were just, people had left, and in my opinion, it just wasn't stable.
Yeah, things didn't get done in those
Yeah.
areas. Okay.
Yeah, so, yeah, that was the only reason why.
And just to help Jack out here, because I was there for 4 months as the
Yeah.
interim.
Yeah.
It's a one-person office, and the person that runs the office is the Board of Assessors. So everything falls on that one person. So anything that comes in, motor vehicles, abatements, inspections, it all falls on the person in that office. It's a difficult situation. Like here we could say, well, I'm sorry, that's what the Board of Assessors decided, they denied you. Over there you couldn't do this.
The buck stopped there.
And I know what happened over there prior to Jonathan going there. And it was just somebody that wanted to pick their 3 highest years and really didn't do anything while they were there. So it left a mess for everybody that came after them.
Yeah.
So,
And that really wasn't the issue for me. I felt actually good when I left there, that I had cleaned it up, I came in, did the best I could. And the public they were very upset. It was funny, I used to go out on the inspections and they would say, oh, you won't last 6 months here. The last guy didn't last, Jonathan was before me. And I used to tell them, no, we're here to help. And it was funny, I was kind of sad when I left because I said, I like the town. And the people got confident after a while. They did,
Sure.
And that's the thing is when there's a lot of turnover, people get very concerned.
Right.
It used to be we used to have like somebody leave it every week, so that makes you just feel
Were any of
uneasy.
the processes documented in terms of how they did the work? Or?
Yeah, I mean, they had an interim, a town administrator in there, and he was trying to straighten things out. And I believe now things are pretty good there, they're back to normal. And I just made a decision because I felt uneasy myself. And it wasn't anything to do with the work, it was just, I wanted stability. I was a single person, so, you kind of look for that if you're paying your own mortgage, so that was my motivation.
There's a lot to be said about that.
Yeah.
Part. I get that part. Now, in terms of some of the processes, it might be fair, not fair to say that some of our processes, the culture's in it. The culture knows how to do the work and has, you're the culture, Rena.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're the culture.
She brings culture to the table.
The culture basically dictates how you do stuff. And we don't have a real high level of documentation in terms of what moves to where and how things get controlled. Is that fair, Brian?
Well, we've addressed that as one of the primary focus
Right.
to improve. So if it needs improvement, apparently it wasn't that good.
Right. So are you comfortable coming into a situation where we're basically rebuilding? And by the way, you have our undying support. We're behind.
Yeah, no, well, there's an assessing calendar that we have.
Yeah.
I have it in the office on my wall with all of my requirements for the Department of Revenue, so that's what I follow every day. And that's kind of how I know I get ready to send out my forms of list. I'm waiting for my deadline for my abatements now. So I follow that. And I know there's deadlines that have to be followed, and then, I mean, if I need help, I pick up the phone and call Becky Boucher, who's my rep. And
She's already familiar with
Yeah.
Becky, yes.
And she's a wealth of knowledge, and
She
then
is.
I have to say, all of the assessors, we have a great peer group. I attend conferences and continuing education, and we just have a great group of people that we support each other. And I can pick up the phone and call my friend Will in Westford, Jonathan Brino in Salisbury, Rena.
Rena knows everybody.
And you know, it's just great that there's always someone, if there's a question, you can always pick up the phone and get help. So yeah, it's a great support system.
If I can interject too, the staff that's been in the office has no normal processes, because that's, like Linda said, it's part of the municipal calendar and the deadlines that are issued by DOR. So those aren't flexible schedules
Right.
that they're set in stone.
Everything you're gonna sign later, all this, Sheila has gone completely through it all.
Nice. Any further questions?
No.
I think we can entertain a motion to ratify, or not, ratify the recommendation of the town manager, Linda McQuaid.
Sorry, you want to
Go ahead.
I would love to ratify the recommendation made by our hardworking town manager who sends stuff out on Sundays. And I move we nominate her and accept.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. I believe we have to have a roll call, don't we?
You're on in person.
We're in person, so.
Oh, that's true. Never mind. I believe that the motion has been carried. Welcome aboard. You can be the first to shake your hand. Now, when can you start? Oh,
Linda has a 45-day clause in her current
Notice.
contract,
Sure.
so it'll be.
And I haven't given my notice yet, so I'm just waiting for the signed contract, and then I will do that. Yeah.
so sometime in mid-March, it sounds like.
Yeah, and I'll let you know the exact date.
So that's why I had to cut off that
Yeah.
discussion, because we've got to be done with some stuff by mid-March.
We will know. I know.
Mr. Chairman, will we be in violation if we started sending materials along?
She doesn't have an email yet,
And she's still working for the other town.
so my guess is probably not.
Hold off.
Probably not.
Don't send anything yet.
I won't try to kill it, just overwhelm. Not, yeah.
You can send it from your personal Gmail, I can't stop you. Please don't do that.
Interesting.
So you're welcome to sit through the rest of this meeting if you want to be bored to tears, or,
No,
Or not.
I think I'd like to just to, kind of see what
thank you.
happens during the, I have, actually, I have a meeting last week with, I don't know, board member of 3 people as well. so-
Yep. Nice. Thank you, and welcome aboard.
Thank you, it's nice to meet you.
The next item of business was the RFQ for that's a request for quote, for personal property maintenance and utility appraiser services.
Yes.
Did you want to touch on that?
Yes, so Julie and I worked on this proposal for request for quotes. This is for cyclical inspections. The revaluation inspections were done by IRC this past year. So all that work is done and signed off on. So this is for just the local.
We've not had a contract in the past,
They've done agreements in the past.
but not a contract.
Right. So this time we're.
So one of the things that we as a board had requested was that we have more visibility to some of the RFQ,
Yeah.
the work prior to contract being signed, for work that supports the assessor's office. So this is actually a great step toward that. Thank you very much for bringing it to us, and or for Julie also for bringing it to us. Did anybody have anything they wanted to suggest as far as changes in the RFQ? I personally read through it. I couldn't find any omissions, which is really what we're looking for, or major errors. I didn't really see any errors either. So
I did not either.
I just want to say thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. For team, we're becoming a team.
So should we take a vote?
If
In
you want to make,
support of the
I
RFQ,
always
let's
say
do
a vote
that.
never hurts.
A vote never hurts. I would entertain a motion about the RFQ.
A motion to accept the RFQ is written.
Second?
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye, we are unanimous. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Well, this is great
We'll get that out the
progress.
door.
Lots of progress tonight.
I didn't anticipate that RRC may be the only company
Applicant.
that fits on this, especially because they have the software already in place that provides the bridge to vision for that data, where that would be an added cost for another company to,
And they're great.
right, they have been excellent to work with.
You have ours.
I would say I love ours.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just for personal property though. And they
Yeah.
actually do some commercial for here for the house as well, so.
Oh,
But that's great. They're a very, very good company to deal with.
so they have the software, they have the connections, and they have some familiarity with Lunenburg, so if they apply, great.
They've been in Lunenburg for quite a number of years.
Yes, yeah.
Will they be doing the data entry for the cyclicals? After
They
everything?
do the data.
I think that
Yes.
data entry was in
Yeah,
there.
that is in there.
You're welcome for, oh, I can't give you a copy yet.
No. I'm just curious.
Don't worry, this is mine. So, okay, well, thank you. Those are the items that we had on open meeting. We'll be moving toward executive session. I wondered if there were any further comments from the public as we close? Any further comments from the board?
No.
No?
No, I do
Uh,
not.
Okay. Well, we want to talk about the next meetings, we want to talk about some next meetings, so I probably should have put that in there before the comment, sorry. So our next meeting is right now scheduled for January 29th at 6:30. We are trying to set up a secondary meeting to review the input from the 5-year, what do we call it, 5-year reval from Vision. They should be finishing up tomorrow, which will give us some time to review that. So the plan is to have Mike come participate, I don't know if he'll be here physically, on January 31st. We're going to schedule a meeting to start at 6:45 so that there's no pressure on trying to get here
Thanks.
earlier. We will have all this resources set up for 6:30, but we'll schedule a meeting to start at 6:45.
Okay, thank you.
And the intention of that will be to review pretty much all the information that Mike will have provided from vision at that point. If that works. Is there anything else you want to add to that?
No. That was, he was gonna get information on the residential by tomorrow or Wednesday, and the remaining items by Friday, Thursday,
And
Friday.
I know
Oh.
when I spoke to him last week, he was already working on all the commercial projects. Yes.
That's good.
So that's actually new for me, because I thought he was going to be done by tomorrow.
That
Yeah,
was in the email that I sent, with those two.
so we'll be getting it sometime on Friday.
So you'll likely get the residential, just the bulk of it, because most of the properties are residential, and then the remainder industrial, commercial, and,
Industrial, commercial, person? No, he doesn't.
Industrial, commercial, on
Yeah,
Friday,
that's
by
right.
Friday.
yes.
Okay. So the intention from that meeting will be to put together some preliminary numbers and try to get preliminary numbers out to the public. I don't know exactly what that schedule's going to look like yet, and we can talk about that at that time. But we have to get some stuff out to the public at some specific dates. I don't have them off the top of my head, but we want to get preliminary numbers out sooner so that people are starting to go ahead.
I was wondering if we can get any of that information already in a spreadsheet.
The stuff that he's supposed to send tomorrow or
Yeah.
Wednesday,
Yeah.
I don't know what format it's gonna be sent in.
Because the other thing is I don't have on the town server any access to Excel, Word, any of those things. So it makes it harder to share data quickly. Because I'm using a personal account and that feels weird because it's public data. So it'd be good if we could get access to.
Well, you have a Microsoft 365 account, right? So you
Yeah,
should-
it wouldn't actually let me open Excel at all.
We'll
It's-
we'll
but anyway,
investigate that. We'll
yeah.
investigate that, because we should,
It
I
is-
believe, have access to that stuff. If we
Yeah,
have
it's
365, then we should have access.
Well, it was a problem for me for the past 2 months.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Cool, thank you. I'm sorry.
No, Mr. Chairman, I've been able to, you sent me over a file, we sent us a file
Yeah.
a couple months ago, and I called you.
Yeah,
I don't know.
couldn't read it.
I couldn't read it, and I'm saying, half of it's missing. And apparently it was an old file from way back when, so, but gave me a chance to play and see how I could go after stuff. And it is uploadable to my Excel file, I'm able to do that.
Okay.
And so, yeah, if I do have a couple of questions for you, Mr. Chairman.
On,
Mike Torello's contributions coming, or is that?
go-
Yeah.
you hold those questions for when Mike comes, or
Okay.
prior to Mike coming, if you want to share them with Mike, I think that'd be worthwhile. Actually, that's a pretty good idea. I hadn't thought of it. I know we have several questions.
Yeah.
And Mike will be coming, will be visiting, will be meeting with us, whether it's in person or not, I don't know. But on the 31st, so if we get those questions into his hands ahead of time, then he'll be more,
And if you want to forward any questions you have to Mike.
If I could call you then, Rena.
Well,
Yeah.
if you send the questions to me, I'll forward them to Mike.
I'm more interested in deciphering some of the acronyms they use inside of their reports. And, because I've actually, this file you sent that came from Mike with the 30-something files.
Yeah, I have it right here.
Yeah, and I'm just trying to see if I can noodle through.
Yep.
One of them was actually the sales history. Should we start going through and doing a scrub down on that to see if those numbers match to what what the records are saying and what they have? Is there any chance? Should we go start doing that?
the information that we got from Mike on those 36 spreadsheets, or like that, That should be reasonably accurate, right? It may not be
Oh,
complete.
yeah,
It may not be
Yeah.
complete, but it should
They
be
came-
accurate. So
Yeah, I
let's
was
start-
just gonna do a
They
sample.
came right off the deeds.
Right.
They
Right
were
off
put
the
into
deed.
visions.
But we can't type that stuff into our own, right? Is this an automatic feed off the deed, or is
No,
this
that's manually put in.
that Sheila coming or
used to,
something coming?
month by month, put all the new sales.
But they've
right-
been done by manually over time, so they're in our
Right.
database now.
They're in the database, right?
So I'm just gonna go and do a kind of sampling to see how accurate we were with regard to.
Feel free,
transaction.
and please forward your questions to Mike before we meet. Now
Yes,
he
I
has
will.
them ahead
I
of
got
time.
the Ackermans. And the other, just another, if we're still just closing down,
Well, oh, okay, so this is a public comment?
this is just another comment. I got a call from somebody, and someone said, hey, you use Munis system, right? And Leominster is having all sorts of problems with it. Are we having any problems with our Munis system?
Sewer.
Sewer
utility
only?
billing, sewer.
So it won't affect any of the taxes around that? Thank you.
So to close on the agenda item for, or the meeting schedule for the 31st, that will be held up at the Bellata Room in the town hall. So, and I'll get the rest of the resources set up. So I think we can close that one. Move on. Okay. I think we're ready to close and go to executive session, or did you have something you wanted to say as a
A
public comment?
comment, just to welcome Linda again to the town, but I also want to take the opportunity to thank Rena for all of her work in helping the office and helping us get through this. Rena's agreed to stay on as well, so I'm very thankful for that, so thank you, Rena.
I look forward to working with them.
You know, I have a history in this town. I lived in this town. I was on the board for 5 years in this town. I have a loyalty to this town. You know, I can't help it.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate that.
Thank you very much. I will now, I think, entertain a motion to move into executive session, and thank you very much for all of you folks who visited us.
Thank you.